Yo, what's going on? YouTube. It's your boy, little fella, checking in real fast. It's me getting out the truck. About to try to get some stuff going on. I'm over here at the Sam's Club right now, waiting to deliver a load here in the evening time. I got an 11 o'clock appointment for my first stop and a noon for my second stop across town here in Cincinnati, Ohio. Just going to talk a little bit. And I, of course, plan on going to see a movie here in about 2 hours. I'm going to go check out that Baby Driver movie. Not sure everybody's interested in watching this month or what's upcoming. Currently right now I'm heading over to this little restaurant across this parking lot, grab me something to eat. But I was going to talk about trucking and how I got my CDL license. And for anybody who's interested in getting a CDL license as well, might want to check out this right here. So I was working a warehouse job at a company called McLean, and I ended up getting fired for insubordination, but I was able to collect unemployment because of the previous things that was happening there already. So with that, me getting unemployment, that was one of the things that made me eligible for a grant down at the unemployment office in where I lived. So they had several trades at this class that I attended, and it's free. It's usually once a week, maybe twice a week. I'm not entirely sure, especially now. But if you attend the class, and they'll talk about it, try to help you find a job or a trade or what you want to do, you know, with your career. It's like a 2-hour class, if I remember correctly. Basically, besides like, you know, healthcare, construction, welding, you know, stuff like that, trucking was one of the trades that they had grants for. So in order to be eligible, I know the main thing was I had to be collecting unemployment, because, you know, of course, the state wants you to get off of unemployment to get out there and work so they can get some taxes off you. So when I said, yeah, I want to do trucking, I signed up for it. I met up with a counselor at the unemployment office, and he checked my eligibility, of course, my age, got real basic info, and he told me, this is in the month of July, I think I did this. He told me the next quarter for trucking, they would send me to a community college, and that quarter begins in September. So I had to wait a couple months before I started trucking school. But back then, they told me that the trucking school was going to be about a 5.5 month course. I know, right? 5.5 month course. Well, these trucking schools got 5 weeks. Well, the reason why it's 5.5 months is because it wasn't just trucking. It was trucking, engine class, electrical class, CPR, forklift. I know stuff that y'all probably could learn under 5.5 months, but, you know, when you got the state paying for something, you know, I ain't gonna argue with how long it is. But with them giving me the grant to go to trucking school, which back then was $3,500, I believe. I don't know what it is now. I have no idea. I think my cousin started Trans Am a couple months ago. He went to school through them, and he said Trans Am charged him about $5,500. But they pay, or he's paying them back by getting paid 30 cents a mile. For how long? I don't know yet. But anyways, turn the camera around because I'm just really walking. Anyways, before I go inside this building, I'm just gonna say, well, I started trucking school at a community college, and I did have a car payment, and I told the counselor about that. I said, well, what am I gonna do about my car payment? And he said, well, we'll pay your car payment. I said, really? Like, yeah. I said, why? He said, because it's considered transportation for getting you back and forth to school. You know, you have to go to school from noon to 10 o'clock at night. Well, they had two different times a day you can go. You can go 8 to 5, or you can go from 12 to 10. So I did 12 to 10. You know, I'm not a morning person anymore. I was when I was a kid, but. So we did that. The first 3 weeks was generally focused on learning the first 3 chapters of the CDL study guidebook. After that, getting your permit was the next thing. Once you was able to get your permit, then the teacher started having us drive trucks and learning how to shift, start and stop, and so on. We did that every day. We came to class, driving trucks around the parking lot. You know, college campus is pretty big, and they got a big area for trucks. They had dump trucks. They had cab overs, day cabs. They had 28-foot trailers. They had doubles. They had 53-foot trailers. And 20-foot pups. So once we got used to driving just a truck around campus, and we did this all day long, taking turns. They had over like 10 trucks for us to use, and our class size is about 10 to 15. So nobody was never sitting out of a truck unless they wanted to. And when we got used to driving the truck, then he'll show us how to hook up to a trailer, which was the 20-foot to pup. So when we started driving around with 20-foot trailers, stopping at 4-way stops, turning, shifting, we never got into over 6th gear really. And if we did, we were speeding on campus. So we had to keep a close eye on that. They was kind of leaning on a little bit, like after campus hours, like after 5 p.m., which is another reason why I took evening classes, because nobody was there. So we can go around the whole campus instead of just the side of the campus that was designated for us. So once we got used to moving pups, then he started taking us out on the road and started shifting on the street and stuff. And he took 4 of us at a time, and then we rotated every half hour. And, you know, we did that for a while. Once we felt confident enough to take our CDL test, and it could be less than 5.5 months, we could be ready on the 3rd month or the 2nd month or whatever, we can go and take the CDL test. He didn't let us take it in the first quarter we was there though. So he'll call the state tester and see you want to take it, and then when the state tester came in, you know, we would take it. So they give us 3 tries to pass the CDL test. If we don't, we have to wait for a certain amount of time. I forgot what, but I got mine on the first try, is all I can tell you. And of course, there's 3 parts to the CDL test. You got your pre-trip inspection, which you got to know the terminology, which is a big thing, what you're looking at, and you got to be able to explain to the tester, you know, when you're checking like the belt or the slack adjuster or whatnot. So if you know all that, then you'll be good. Stuff when you get in the truck, it's putting your seatbelt on, doing your air checks properly. There's 4 of them. You gotta show them all that and what you're doing. So once you get past the air check, then he'll take you out on the road, or he'll have you drive straight down through some cones and then back up through some cones straight, do a 90-degree backing, and then make a CDL right turn without touching cones or lines. Once you finish that, then he'll take you on the road. My school is just a little bit different. They did it the other way around. They took us on the road, and then we did the backing last, which I don't really think mattered what order it was, but I know one of the things we do on the road is we have to parallel park. So if you can't parallel park a car, you better get good at doing that, because you're going to have to parallel park a truck. Like I said, this was 8 years ago. I don't know what it is now. So that's just basically how I did it. Once I passed, got my CDL, I was happy. Now, as far as the schooling was concerned, we can show, it got to the point where I got kind of flexible to where, you know, some days we come in for most of the day and leave early. You know, it's up to the teacher, of course. But we get there at noon and leave at 8, you know, because most people got their CDLs by then, or whatever the case is. So it got real flexible maybe around the 4th or 5th month. Once it was over, you know, all we had to do was find a job. You know, my first job was a temp agency, being a yard hostler, you know, just shuttling trailers. So that's how I got started out. But what did happen was, we had a third-party tester. We didn't have a state tester. So there was some big thing that happened back then where all the third-party testers got audited or something, and then the people who got their CDL test through a third-party tester had to retake their CDL test through a state tester. That was some BS. So we had to go out to a different location. They provided the trucks because we was no longer in school. Usually if you go to like Illinois or something like that, you want to take a CDL test in Illinois, I know that specifically because I lived there, you will have to provide your own truck and your own trailer. As long as your trailer got air brakes, it's acceptable. You know, we had to take it a second time. Of course, you know, I was kind of like, damn, because it was within a year I had my CDL license, of course. And of course I passed it again the second time, no big deal. So when they did that, they just left me alone. Didn't hear nothing from them since. So what I'm saying is, if you are on unemployment, or even if you're not, check out, or if you're on any state or government assistance, period, it might make you eligible. Food stamps, you know, SNAP, TANF, whatever. You should check it out if you want to be a truck driver. They might have programs for it. So before you pay $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 or go to, you know, one of these mega carrier trucking companies who want to say, oh, we'll pay for it for you, you know, you just pay us back. That's BS, because they're getting the same opportunity that you are if you was, you know, on government assistance. They're basically getting the money for themselves, paying for your school, and you're basically paying them back the money they got for free. And then some trucking companies will be like, well, if you work for us for 6 months and pay us back, we'll give you the money or whatever, something crazy like that I've heard once. So ain't no real telling, but I just want to do a quick video. I'm sitting here all day. Once I get out of here, I'm gonna go pick up my load in Northern Ohio by the turnpike, and I'm heading back home down to Florida. So I'm gonna holler at y'all. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, or comment. I'm really waiting to get a GoPro so I can film like some of my driving and stuff like that as well. But man, after them tires hit, it kind of knocked me down a little bit. So I'm trying to get myself back up. So I got to get out here and work and make this money just the way it is. So I'll catch y'all again. Any questions, like I said, feel free to ask. Little fella checking out.